Hello. I hope all is progressing well. Welcome to I Don't Know. We Can Talk About It, where we discuss myriads of topics civilly, reasonably, and responsibly. My name is Kevin Dufresne. Our first topic is about dyslexia. Individuals that experience symptoms of dyslexia, what some perspectives may consider is dyslexia as incurable, though methodologically approachable, methodically approachable. I think the understanding of dyslexia being approachable, symptoms of dyslexia being methodically approachable, sound to ensuring individuals experiencing such symptoms will find great benefit through learning long term beyond academia, outside of academia, external to academia. I think addressing how one learns may greatly contribute to building how one understands how one may learn. Anyone experiencing symptoms of dyslexia may be aware of a need of assistance, though may need to be more aware of how to receive assistance. I think anyone experiencing symptoms of dyslexia may find great benefit in understanding which area, if one area more than another, needs most attention. If context of physical parameters may assist one with better approaching reading, better approaching understanding, then being aware of such will be helpful to navigating how one may further one's learning in the best ways possible. I think addressing factors that may be seemingly external to an educational atmosphere, such as how one may proceed with using technology beyond an educational atmosphere. I think understanding how one approaches reading books external to an educational atmosphere proved extremely valuable to navigating how perhaps one may have a habit or so that is contributing to how one is approaching contexts that may make one feel as though experiencing symptoms of dyslexia. Though any of an MRI with clear indications of different happenings that one may associate in the brain with symptoms of dyslexia, then approaching how one may be able to coordinate strengthen, if one will, the particular areas may prove extremely valuable. I think being more aware of how one may learn may prove greatly beneficial for any that may be experiencing symptoms of dyslexia, especially considering that one area of learning, or more than one area of learning, stylistically may prove extremely well for an individual's growth. Our next topic is of school safety. Extending parameters of school safety really allows for approaching safety in myriad ways that prevent violence, that prevent harm, especially when external factors are present, when indicators within internal factors are present of potential harm from an individual or individuals. I find the educational atmospheres capable of implementing school safety departments really find a way to not only navigate nationally, statewide, or locally. These individuals find ways to disseminate information, techniques that may be extremely helpful to ensure no school, no educational environment has to experience violence. Of course, I want to extend educational environment to mean any environment of learning. Subject-wise may be of no limitation, because ensuring an educational atmosphere is safe is a part of ensuring a community is safe. Now, being aware of all parameters of school safety, of threats assessment, may prove challenging for any unaware. So having a school safety department is extremely valuable, because a school safety department may be able to navigate cyber security, cyber networks, may be able to create avenues to connect with individuals within an educational atmosphere, within a network of educational atmospheres, to ensure an awareness of how behaviorally any may be, if one is experiencing in a particular area of health and is vocal, though no one seems to be attentive to the vocalness, then one may find a disruption which no one wants. Quite importantly about being attentive as an educational atmosphere is that individuals vary in capacities of communication and of being. So when an utterance of violence becomes apparent, not only to others, though of one to oneself, then an educational environment, if capable, if possible, if aware, may find a way to intervene. Of course, the assessing of any threat may seem to have limitation. If a threat is in connection with a domestic situation, then might an educational environment feel a need beyond a want to attempt to intervene? The parameters of school safety may seem to blend at a particular point, though addressing how in-depth a school safety and environmental safety, a school safety department may choose to approach safety, then one may find, as the article mentions, differences in approaches that will extend this differently. I think ensuring the safety of the school is very sound through a school safety department, which may be able to coordinate parameters that may allow for ensuring safety, especially to necessary parameters, more so immediately than to any extending parameters, which may receive assistance, especially if an individual coming from a domestic situation may seek assistance through an educational atmosphere, through a safety parameter. All right, let's get into some origami. Now, today in origami, we're going to make an origami puppy. So we're going to just take our origami sheet and we're going to fold it. Point to point, both ways, so you'll see somewhat of a cross. Next, we're going to just take one portion, we're going to fold it about a third of the way, then we'll just fold it back a little bit over the edge. So you'll have something like this. Next, on this bottom portion, well, we're going to just take this, we're going to fold a little bit first, just a little bit. Okay, just a little bit at first, then we're going to fold in about 3/4 of the way. Again, here, so you can see, just fold it in. So there's a difference in the folding, okay? Next, we're going to fold the origami actually in half, following this line here. So we have our center line, we'll just fold it in half. And as you can see, you have here a little poking out here. The next step here is we're going to fold from this point, so this point, and then we're going to fold this point. So we're going to just fold them out. Okay. Then after you fold that out, we're actually going to fold in this point here down. So we're going to fold in from here and here. We're just going to fold in, we're going to fold in down. So we'll get in here. Then we're going to do the same on the other side. We're going to fold up diagonally. Actually, my initial fold here, just so we have a correction here, this fold is going to come in here, from here, and then to this point. actually fold into the head. That's where the fold before is. Then we'll fold down, still following the diagonal pattern, but we'll fold down following this diagonal from here. So then we'll fold it down here. Okay, and then you'll see the difference on the other side. Okay, so again, folding up here, folding up here. Okay, reverse in a minute. Okay, we're folding up here, bringing it up. Good. And we're just gonna bring it down, right? There we go. So now you can see our positioning here. So the next step is where to actually fold underneath here. So we'll take our portion underneath here. There's a portion here. We're just gonna reverse fold it underneath. Okay. And from that reverse fold underneath, we're just gonna bring these ears down. These are our ears. Bring them down however much you would like. Okay. And oh, voila, what we have here now, we have our origami puppy. And basically, if you mark on the nose and add some eyes, you'll get a nice visible appearance of a puppy dog's eyes and nose on your origami puppy. All right, our next topic. Reading a physical book has many health benefits, all of which connect with spatial development. Go figure, spatial development is really a wonderful grounding, connecting individuals to the physical space, the physical parameters around one's being, inclusive of one's being. The book, Steve Jobs. Walter Isaacson writes the text, coordinating interviews with Steve Jobs. I think the text is quite a wonderful read because the text shows a maturity of time and delves into industry in a particularly interesting way if one is completely unaware of Apple's development from the beginning to about early 2000s when the book finishes, really when Steve Jobs passes away. Then one will be more aware of the atmospheres of technology in connection with cell phones, with streaming, music, licensing, of course, considering design, competitive atmospheres between different entities, different companies, which one may not be aware of. How many companies of today are in connection with backgrounds, historically, interworkings of relationships, and Steve Jobs really highlights these different parameters through Steve Jobs' experience, more so than Steve Jobs' perspective. So the text follows an objective perspective. And I think Steve Jobs' life, Steve Jobs' journey is interesting. The individuals Steve Jobs connects with seem to have interesting stories as well, though one finds a lot to learn about work, about life through the text. And I think not knowing Steve Jobs personally, though from an outside perspective, reading the text may offer a lot of value for one to consider about one's life, and really about how one approaches living. Steve Jobs proves to be a text that shows life changing decade after decade after decade, and how a lot of what is now is not necessarily what is to be. How living now, what is relevant now, what is important, are of the experiences of the knowledge that one passes on, and that life is really full and rich with purpose. I think assessing how good purpose aligns with living a fulfilling life is quite important. The text leaves one to assess parameters of living, one's health, in myriad ways, especially if one is in a position to live well. What is one doing with one's life? How is one choosing to live one's life? Is really what the text approaches. Even considering what the text talks about industry-wise in connection with Steve Jobs, philosophically, Steve Jobs matures to a wonderful point throughout the text, a point of which I don't really come across in popular media concerning emotional intelligence, emotional growth, though in the text there is evidence of emotional growth, though at a later point in Steve Jobs' life, of which really engages with how one may be approaching life. What is one's life about? Not to say that Steve Jobs is offering any type of answer, though Steve Jobs in the text assesses so many situations for one to derive an answer, many answers, if not more questions, to engage with one's life. Thank you for joining. I don't know. We can talk about it. Onward and Upward, Dufresne.